I'm Morgan. I'm 24 years old. And 2 weeks ago, on Mother's Day, my own mother walked into the restaurant where I'd worked for 4 years and publicly humiliated me in front of 6 tables of strangers. She looked at me in my server uniform, laughed, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Oh, it's you! We didn't realize you still worked here. How embarrassing for us." My sister giggled. The couple at table 12 stopped mid-bite. The family celebrating Grandma's birthday went silent. I smiled, picked up the menu, and said 4 words that made my manager come running. What happened next? Let's just say my mom's credit card wasn't the only thing that got declined that day. Before I tell you everything, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. And drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Now, let me take you back to the beginning. 4 years ago, the day my mother made her choice. 4 years ago, I stood in our kitchen holding an envelope that should have changed my life. The letter inside said I'd been accepted to Whitfield University, full academic merit, top 5% of applicants. My hands were shaking when I found my mother in the living room. She was on the phone, laughing. Streamers hung from the ceiling. A banner read, "Congratulations, Kelsey." My little sister had just gotten into state, not on merit, just regular admission, but you'd think she'd won the Nobel Prize. "Mom," I held up my letter. "I got in, Whitfield." She glanced at me, covered the phone. "That's nice, honey, but you know I can't afford 2 tuitions." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "Kelsey needs support. The apartment near campus, the meal plan, a reliable car." She shrugged like she was discussing the weather. "You're different, Morgan. You're a survivor. You'll figure it out." That night, I watched my mother hand Kelsey the keys to a brand new BMW. A graduation gift. White with a red bow, parked in our driveway like a commercial. I got a bus schedule. See, my parents divorced when I was 14. Dad left. Just left. No goodbye. No forwarding address. Nothing. Mom never recovered. And somehow, she decided that was my fault. "You're just like him," she'd say, refusing to meet my eyes. That same cold look. I never understood what I'd done wrong. I was 14. I just existed. But existing, apparently, was enough. Kelsey had Mom's eyes, Mom's smile, Mom's talent for saying exactly what people wanted to hear. I had a bus pass and a list of restaurants hiring part-time. That night, I didn't cry. I just sat in my room, laptop open, searching for jobs that would work around a full-class schedule. By midnight, I had 3 interviews lined up. By the end of the week, I had a job at the Oakwood Grill. 4 years. That's 1,460 days of double shifts, early mornings, and 4 hours of sleep if I was lucky. While Kelsey posted Instagram photos from Hawaii, I memorized wine pairings. While she spent spring break in Aspen, I picked up extra shifts. While Mom took her to Paris for her 21st birthday, I celebrated mine alone in my studio apartment, eating leftover bread from the restaurant. I maintained a 3.9 GPA. I conducted research with Professor Hendricks in the finance department. I was nominated for the Dean's Academic Excellence Award. Mom didn't come to a single ceremony, not one. "I wish I could, sweetie," she'd say whenever I mentioned anything. "But Kelsey has this thing, and you know how she gets." I did know. Kelsey got everything. The worst part wasn't the missed events. It was the lies. At Thanksgiving, the one holiday I managed to get off, I overheard Mom talking to Aunt Patricia in the kitchen. "Morgan?" Mom laughed softly. "Oh, she decided college wasn't for her. You know how independent she is. She'd rather work." I stood in the hallway, frozen. "Such a shame," Aunt Patricia said. "She was always so bright." Some people just aren't cut out for academics. I left before dessert. Told them I had to work early. It wasn't a lie. That's how it went for 4 years. To the family, I was the dropout, the disappointment, the one who liked being independent. No one knew I was 18 credits from graduating with honors. No one knew I'd been published in a student research journal. No one knew anything about me at all. And then, 3 weeks before Mother's Day, everything changed. I got an email that would flip my entire world upside down. The break room at the Oakwood Grill smelled like coffee and desperation. I was between lunch and dinner shifts, scrolling through emails on my cracked phone screen. Then I saw it. Subject line: Offer of employment, Whitmore and Associates. My heart stopped. Whitmore and Associates, one of the top 10 financial consulting firms on the East Coast. I'd applied 3 months ago on a whim, never expecting a callback. They hired from Harvard, Yale, not from girls who smelled like hollandaise sauce. I opened the email. Dear Ms. Townsend, we are pleased to offer you the position of Junior Financial Analyst. I read it 3 times, then a 4th. Starting salary, more money than I'd made in 4 years of tips combined. My hands trembled as I screenshot the offer letter and saved it to my phone. Then I did something I never expected. I called Mr. Davidson. He picked up on the second ring. Morgan, aren't you supposed to be on break? I got it. My voice cracked. The job, Whitmore. Silence. Then, Morgan, that's incredible. You've earned every bit of this. I wiped my eyes with my apron. I wanted you to know first. I'm honored. He paused. When do you start? May 12th, Monday after Mother's Day. Then Mother's Day is your last day here. He cleared his throat. We'll make it a good one. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my phone. That's when I remembered something strange. 3 months ago, Kelsey had posted an Instagram story, a screenshot of an application confirmation. She'd cropped out the company name, but I recognized the portal layout, the same portal I'd used to apply to Whitmore. She'd captioned it, "Big things coming." But she never mentioned it again. No follow-up post, no celebration, no new job announcement. At the time, I'd assumed she changed her mind. Kelsey changed her mind about everything. Now I wondered, what if she didn't get in? What if my little sister, the golden child, had been rejected from the same company that just hired me? I couldn't prove it. But the silence told me everything I needed to know. That night, I sat on my second-hand couch and thought about silence. For 4 years, I'd been silent. When Mom forgot my birthday, when Kelsey posted photos from Europe with captions about family trips I wasn't invited to, when relatives asked why I'd given up on school. Silence was safe. Silence kept the peace. But peace for whom? If I stayed silent now, nothing would change. Mom would keep telling everyone I was a dropout. Kelsey would keep playing the golden child, and I'd start my new career carrying the same invisible weight I'd carried since I was 18. Is that what I wanted? To walk into Whitmore and Associates still feeling like the family embarrassment? I thought about what would happen if Mom ever found out about my job. She'd probably spin it somehow. Oh, Morgan finally got lucky. You know, she always lands on her feet. No mention of the 4 years, the grades, the research, the sacrifice, no. If I was going to move forward, I needed to close this chapter properly. Not with anger, not with revenge, with truth. I made a decision. Mother's Day would be my last shift. I'd serve my tables, collect my final tips, and walk out with my head held high. If Mom and Kelsey never found out about my success, so be it. But I wasn't going to hide anymore. I printed the offer letter at the campus library the next day, folded it carefully, slipped it into my work bag. Just in case. I didn't know yet that, just in case, would become, thank God I brought this. I didn't know Mom and Kelsey were already making plans of their own. Plans that would bring them straight to my section. The call came on a Tuesday. Mom never called on Tuesdays. Mom rarely called at all. I was walking home from class when her name flashed on my screen. I almost didn't answer. Morgan, sweetie. Her voice was syrup sweet, dangerous. I was thinking about Mother's Day. I stopped walking. Okay. Kelsey suggested we all have brunch together, as a family. She emphasized the last word like it was supposed to mean something. I have to work, Mom. I told you 3 weeks ago. A pause. When she spoke again, the sweetness was gone. You always have to work. It's like you're avoiding us. I'm not avoiding anyone. I'm paying my bills. Well, her voice turned sharp. If money is what matters to you most, it's not about money. It's about responsibility. Responsibility. She laughed bitterly. God, you sound just like him. He used that word too, right before he walked out. I froze. She never talked about Dad. Never. Mom. You know, a real daughter would make time for her mother. A real daughter would choose her family. I closed my eyes, counted to 3. A real mother would understand why I can't. Silence stretched between us. Then I heard it. A giggle in the background. Light. Familiar. Kelsey was listening. Mom, is Kelsey there? What? No, I mean, she just walked in. Another giggle, louder now. My stomach tightened. They were enjoying this. The guilt trip, the pressure. It was entertainment for them. I have to go, I said. Morgan. Happy early Mother's Day, Mom. I hung up before she could respond. Standing on that sidewalk, phone clutched in my hand, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't just a call about brunch. They were planning something. I didn't know what yet, but the way Kelsey laughed, like she knew a secret I didn't, told me everything I needed to know. Whatever was coming, I needed to be ready. The text came 40 minutes later. Kelsey. Hey sis, Mom's really hurt. You should apologize. I stared at the screen, didn't respond. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Kelsey. By the way, I heard your restaurant has the best brunch. Maybe we'll come visit. My blood went cold. She knew where I worked. She'd always known. Mom made sure to mention it whenever she wanted to remind me of my choices. But this was different. This was a threat dressed up with emoji. I switched to Instagram, searched Kelsey's profile. Her latest story, a boomerang of champagne glasses clinking. Caption, Mother's Day plans, can't wait to try this new brunch spot. The location tag, the Oakwood Grill, my restaurant, my section. They weren't just coming for brunch, they were coming for me. I called Rebecca immediately. She answered with her mouth full. Becca, they're coming. Who's coming? My mom, my sister, to the restaurant on Mother's Day. Silence. Then, oh hell no. They tagged it on Instagram. They know exactly where I'll be. Want me to switch sections with you? I can take the east side, you take west? No. The word came out harder than I intended. No. Let them come. Morgan. I'm done hiding. I've been hiding for 4 years. I took a breath. They want to embarrass me? Fine, but I'm not running anymore. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. You sure about this? I looked at my reflection in my apartment window. Tired eyes, messy ponytail, server uniform hanging on the closet door. Yeah, I said. I'm sure. Okay then. I could hear her smile. I've got your back, whatever happens. Thanks, Becca. That's what friends are for. What I didn't tell her, I was absolutely terrified. The night before Mother's Day, I couldn't sleep. I ironed my uniform twice. Black button-up, black apron, not a wrinkle in sight. If I was going to face them, I'd look perfect doing it. At midnight, I pulled the offer letter from my bag, unfolded it, read it one more time. Dear Ms. Townsend. The words still didn't feel real. Starting Monday, I'd be walking into a corner office instead of a kitchen. I'd be Morgan Townsend, financial analyst. Not Morgan the waitress. Not Morgan the dropout. Not Morgan the embarrassment. Just Morgan. I folded the letter carefully and slipped it back into my bag, just in case. Before bed, I made 2 lists. Things I will not do tomorrow. Cry, yell, apologize for my job. Let them see me break. Things I want. Leave with my dignity intact. Tell the truth. Stop pretending. At 6 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Davidson. Big day. Whatever happens, I've got your back. Remember, auto gratuity on parties over $200. No exceptions. I smiled at that last part. Standard policy. Nothing personal. But somehow it felt like armor. At 6:15, another notification. Instagram. Kelsey had posted a photo. Full makeup, designer dress, hair blown out like she was going to a photo shoot. Caption, ready to make some memories today. 53 likes already, comments calling her gorgeous and queen. None of them knew where she was going. None of them knew what she was planning. But I did. I got dressed slowly, tied my apron with steady hands, looked at myself in the mirror. Today's the day, I whispered. Then I grabbed my bag, offer letter tucked safely inside, and walked out the door. The Oakwood Grill was chaos by 7 a.m. Mother's Day is the Super Bowl of brunch. Every table booked. Every server running. The kitchen already smelled like maple syrup and stress. I clocked in early, tucking my bag into my locker. The offer letter sat inside, folded and waiting. Rebecca found me by the coffee station. You okay? I'm okay. Mostly true. I can still switch sections. Becca, I'm okay. She squeezed my arm. All right, but I'm keeping my phone ready. For what? She grinned. Evidence. Or TikTok. Maybe both. Before I could respond, Mr. Davidson's voice cut through the noise. Team meeting, 2 minutes. We gathered by the host stand. 12 servers, 3 bussers. Mr. Davidson in his pressed vest, looking like a general before battle. Today's going to be insane, he said. I don't need to tell you that, but I do need to remind you of a few things. He held up one finger. Large parties over $200 get automatic 20% gratuity. No exceptions. Don't let anyone guilt you out of it. Second finger. If any customer disrespects my staff, any of you, you come to me. Immediately. He looked around the room. His eyes landed on me for half a second. This restaurant runs on respect. We give it. We expect it. Anyone who can't handle that can eat somewhere else. Murmurs of agreement. All right, doors open in 15. Let's make some money. As the group dispersed, I checked the reservation book. 10:30 a.m. Townsend. Party of 2. My section. I looked out the front window. Cars were already lining up in the parking lot. Somewhere out there, my mother was probably putting on lipstick, getting ready to make some memories. So was I. The first few hours went smoothly. Table 10 was a single mom with 3 kids under 7. The youngest knocked over his orange juice before I even finished pouring. Mom looked mortified. I'm so sorry, she said, grabbing napkins. I know you're busy. Please, I smiled and crouched down to help. Kids will be kids. Happy Mother's Day. Her eyes softened. You're so kind. Your mother must be very proud. I didn't answer, just smiled and moved on. Table 12 was my favorite. An elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Patterson. He told me they'd been married 50 years. Every Mother's Day, he brought her here. She's been the best mother for 48 of those years, he said, squeezing her hand. And the best wife for all 50. Mrs. Patterson blushed. Oh, stop it, Harold. Never. I watched them share a piece of pie, feeding each other bites like teenagers. Something ached in my chest. This was what family was supposed to look like. Not games, not guilt, not showing up at someone's workplace to humiliate them. Just love. Simple and true. I was refilling coffee at table 14 when I felt Rebecca's hand on my shoulder. Morgan? Her voice was tight. I looked at her face. They're here. I didn't need to ask who. I set down the coffee pot, smoothed my apron, took a breath. Where? Front door. Hostess is seating them now. Through the crowd I caught a glimpse. A designer dress, a Gucci bag, blonde hair freshly styled, and behind her, phone already raised, my sister, recording. Okay. I straightened my shoulders. Let's do this. Rebecca grabbed my wrist. You've got this, Morgan. I know. I didn't. Not really. But I walked toward them anyway. My mother looked expensive. That was always her priority, looking like money, even when the credit cards were maxed. Today she wore a cream-colored wrap dress, pearls at her throat, Gucci bag hanging from her elbow like an accessory in a magazine. Kelsey trailed behind in a pink sundress, phone angled perfectly for her content. I could see the Instagram Live notification blinking on her screen. The hostess led them to table 8, my section. Of course. I grabbed 2 menus from the stack, checked my reflection in the window, apron straight, hair neat, face neutral. Here we go. The walk to their table felt endless. I passed the Patterson couple, past the single mom wiping syrup off her toddler, past tables full of families actually celebrating each other. Then I was there. Good morning. My voice came out steady, professional. Welcome to the Oakwood Grill. Mom looked up. Her eyes traveled from my face down to my apron, down to the menus in my hands, down to the sensible black shoes I'd worn for 4 years of 12-hour shifts. When she looked back up, her expression had changed. Not surprise, something colder. Oh, one syllable. But it echoed. The table beside us went quiet. I could feel eyes turning. Kelsey lowered her phone slightly, a smirk playing at her lips. Mom tilted her head, examining me like I was something she'd found on the bottom of her shoe. The restaurant hummed around us. Silverware clinked. A child laughed somewhere in the distance. But at table 8, time had stopped, and my mother was just getting started. I stood there, menus in hand, waiting. The next words out of her mouth would change everything. I just didn't know it yet. "Oh, it's you," Mom's voice carried. She didn't whisper. She never whispered when she wanted an audience. "We didn't realize you still worked here." She paused, looked around at the neighboring tables, made sure everyone was watching, then she smiled. "How embarrassing. For us." 6 tables heard it. I counted later. 23 people witnessed my mother publicly shame me on Mother's Day. Kelsey laughed. Not a giggle, a full laugh, like Mom had told the funniest joke. "Oh my God, Mom!" She raised her phone higher. "Classic." The couple at table 12 stopped eating. Mr. Patterson's fork hung midair. The single mom at table 10 covered her youngest's ears, shooting me a look of pure sympathy. A businessman at table 14 set down his knife, frowning. The restaurant had gone quiet. Not silent, but quieter. The kind of quiet that happens when everyone's pretending not to stare. Kelsey leaned toward her phone screen. "Hey everyone, surprise! We found my sister. She's our waitress. Isn't that hilarious?" Mom nodded approvingly. "You know, darling, I told her years ago, get a real job. But she never listens, just like her father. Stubborn to the bone." She said her father like it was a curse word. "At least we know where our tax money goes," Kelsey said. "Oh, wait. She probably doesn't pay taxes on tips." They laughed together, mother and daughter, united. My face burned. I could feel every eye in my section watching. The menus in my hands felt like lead. I had 2 choices: walk away and let them win, or stay and take whatever came next. For 4 years, I'd walked away. 4 years of swallowed pride and silence. 4 years of letting them define me. I looked at my mother, at my sister's smirking face, at the phone recording my humiliation for strangers on the internet. And I made my choice. Time stretched like taffy. I stood there, menus still in hand, while the restaurant held its breath. Mom was watching me with that familiar look. The one that said, "What are you going to do about it?" The one that had controlled me my entire life. Kelsey's phone gleamed in the light. Recording. Always recording. I looked at my mother. Really looked at her. This woman who refused to pay my tuition. Who told everyone I was a dropout. Who came here today specifically to humiliate me. I looked at Kelsey, my little sister who got the BMW, the apartment, the trips to Paris, who was live streaming my worst moment for likes and comments. I looked around at the strangers watching, the elderly couple holding hands, the single mom shielding her children, the businessmen with the disapproving frown, witnesses, all of them. I looked down at my uniform, the black apron I'd worn 1,000 times, the shoes with worn soles, the hands that had carried 10,000 plates, and in my locker, in my bag, a letter that changed everything. I had 2 options. I could cry. I could run to the kitchen and hide until my shift ended. I could let this be another story my mother told at parties. "Remember when we found Morgan working at that restaurant? So pathetic." Or I could tell the truth. My hands stopped shaking. My heartbeat steadied. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about making them suffer. This was about being seen. Finally. Completely. On my own terms. I took a breath, and I smiled. Not the polite server smile I'd perfected over 4 years. A different smile. Calmer. Knowing. The smile of someone holding a winning hand. "Actually," I said, "I have an announcement." Mom's eyes narrowed. I opened my mouth. "Today's my last day." 4 words, clear and steady. Mom blinked. "What?" I raised my voice slightly, not shouting, just loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. I said, "Today is my last day, so let me make it memorable." I turned to face the section. 6 tables of strangers who'd just watched me be humiliated. 23 people who probably felt sorry for me. Time to change that. Good news, everyone? I smiled. Today's my final shift at the Oakwood Grill. Starting Monday, I'll be a financial analyst at Whitmore and Associates. Murmurs rippled through the section. Mr. Patterson at table 12 sat up straight. Whitmore? That's one of the top firms in the state. Yes, sir, I nodded. It is. The single mom at table 10 started clapping. Slowly at first, then faster. Her kids joined in, not understanding why, just happy to make noise. The businessman at 14 raised his coffee cup in a small salute. I turned back to my mother. Her face had gone pale. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. That's ridiculous. Her voice wavered. You're a waitress. You didn't even go to college. Actually, Mom, I did go to college. Full time. For 4 years. While working here. I kept my voice even. I have a 3.9 GPA. I conducted research. I was published in a student journal. That's not... You wouldn't know any of that. I smiled gently. You never asked. Kelsey's phone was still raised, but her hand was shaking now. The smirk had vanished. And Kelsey? I met my sister's eyes. I saw the rejection list. Her face went white. You applied to Whitmore too, didn't you? Silence. They didn't even interview you. The restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Okay, I need to pause here for just a second. If Morgan's story is hitting close to home, if you've ever been the forgotten one in your family, the one who had to fight for everything, drop a comment and let me know. What would you have said in that moment? If you're enjoying this, hit that like button. It really helps more people find these stories. Now back to the restaurant, because things were about to get even wilder. For a moment, nothing moved. Then table 14 started clapping. The businessman stood up, applauding like he was at a Broadway show. Well done, young lady! Well done! It spread like wildfire. Table 10, the single mom, joined in, tears in her eyes. Her kids clapped wildly, still not understanding but loving the energy. The elderly couple at table 12 rose together. Mr. Patterson's voice carried across the room. Whitmore doesn't hire just anyone. That's impressive. Mom's face cycled through colors. Red, white, red again. She's lying. Her voice pitched higher. She didn't even go to college. I would know. I'm her mother. I reached into my apron pocket. I'd moved the letter there this morning, just in case. I unfolded it slowly, held it up. Would you like to verify, sir? I offered it to Mr. Patterson. He took the letter with careful hands, adjusted his reading glasses. The room went quiet. Morgan Elizabeth Townsend, he read aloud. Junior Financial Analyst, Whitmore and Associates, effective May 12, 2026. He looked at my mother with an expression I'd never forget. Pure, undiluted judgment. Ma'am, his voice was ice, your daughter is not a liar, but it seems someone here might be. Whispers erupted. A woman at table 16 leaned toward her companion. Did you hear that? She made her daughter pay her own way through college, while the other one got everything. What kind of mother? Disgraceful. And on Mother's Day of all days? Mom's hand flew to her pearls, clutching them like a lifeline. That's not the full story. There are things you don't understand. But no one was listening anymore. They were all looking at me. And for the first time in 4 years, they were seeing the truth. Kelsey's phone hand dropped to her side. I turned to face her fully. My little sister. The golden child. The one who got everything while I got nothing. She looked smaller somehow. Younger. Scared. Kelsey. My voice was calm. Almost gentle. You applied to Whitmore 3 months ago, didn't you? I saw your Instagram post. The application portal screenshot. She swallowed. That's none of your business. You never posted about getting the job, never mentioned it again? I tilted my head. They rejected you, didn't they? And you never told Mom. The color drained from Kelsey's face so fast I thought she might faint. Mom whipped around to face her. What? Kelsey, you told me you didn't want a corporate job. You said you were pursuing your influencer career. Kelsey's voice cracked. It's not like that. You applied to the same company as your sister. Mom's voice rose. And you got rejected? Mom, I can explain. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. It's okay, Kelsey. I kept my tone even. Not everyone gets in, but maybe next time, try building a resume instead of an Instagram following. Someone at table 18 snorted, then laughed. Then several people were laughing, and Kelsey's face crumpled like wet paper. This is so unfair, her voice pitched to a whine. You always have to ruin everything. I was having a good Mother's Day, and you— I'm not ruining anything. I held up my hands. I'm just telling the truth. First time for this family, I know. I paused. It takes some getting used to. More laughter. Not cruel, just the release of tension. Kelsey's phone buzzed frantically. She looked at the screen and went even paler. Mom. Her voice was a whisper. The comments. They're calling me. She couldn't finish the sentence. But I could guess. Footsteps. Fast and deliberate. Mr. Davidson appeared at my shoulder like he'd materialized from thin air. His vest was pressed, his expression was stone. Is there a problem here? Mom's entire demeanor shifted. Suddenly she was all charm, all wounded innocence. Yes, actually. She pressed a hand to her chest. Your employee has been extremely rude to us. I'd like to speak to someone in charge. Mr. Davidson didn't blink. Ma'am, I am in charge, and I've been watching this entire situation. Mom's smile faltered. Then you saw how she humiliated us. What I saw, Mr. Davidson interrupted quietly, was a customer loudly insulting one of my best employees. On her last day here, in front of my entire restaurant. Silence. He stepped forward slightly, not threatening, just present. I also heard you publicly claim your daughter didn't go to college, which, according to the offer letter I just heard read aloud, is demonstrably false. Mom's mouth worked soundlessly. This is a family matter. No, ma'am. Mr. Davidson's voice was calm, but absolute. The moment you raised your voice in my establishment, it became my matter. He turned to me. His expression softened, just slightly. Morgan, please continue serving your other tables. I'll handle this one. I should have walked away. That would have been the professional thing to do, but I'd been professional for 4 years. Actually, Mr. Davidson, I met his eyes. I'd like to finish what I started, if you don't mind. A beat of silence, then slowly he smiled. By all means. He stepped back but didn't leave. Just stood there, arms crossed, watching. I turned back to my mother. She looked smaller than I remembered, less powerful. Funny how truth does that to people. I picked up the menus from where I'd set them down. Since it's my last day, I said pleasantly, and since you came all this way to see me work, let me serve you properly. Mom's eyes narrowed with suspicion. What do you mean? I mean, order whatever you want. Enjoy your brunch. I paused. Let the moment stretch. On me. Sort of. Before she could respond, I turned to face the surrounding tables. My section. My people, for one last day. Actually, since today is special, desserts are on the house for everyone in this section. Gasps. Smiles. A child at table 10 squealed with delight. Consider it a gift. I gestured grandly toward Mom's table. From my mother. The applause was immediate, genuine. That's so generous, ma'am. The single mom at table 10 beamed at my mother. Thank you so much. Mr. Patterson raised his coffee cup in salute. Very kind of you. Mom's face cycled through emotions like a slot machine. Confusion, fury, and then, the worst one, the realization that she was trapped. What? She hissed at me. I'm not paying for strangers' desserts. Mom. I kept my voice sweet, innocent. You've spent the last 4 years telling everyone how much you've sacrificed for your children, how hard you work to provide. I leaned in slightly. Consider this your chance to prove it. Her mouth opened, closed. She looked around at the smiling faces, the grateful strangers, the witnesses who thought she was being generous. She couldn't say no, not without destroying the carefully crafted image of good mother she'd spent decades building. I saw the moment she realized she'd lost. Fine. Her voice was ice. Order what you want. I smiled. We'd love some champagne to start. The next hour was beautiful. Mom and Kelsey sat in furious silence while I served them the most expensive items on our Mother's Day menu. Lobster Benedict, champagne, the Wagyu steak breakfast. Every dish delivered with perfect professionalism. Every water glass filled before it ran empty. I was, after all, a very good waitress. Meanwhile, desserts flowed to the surrounding tables. Chocolate lava cake, creme brulee, the kitchen's signature berry tart. The guests were thrilled. They kept thanking Mom, who smiled through gritted teeth. Finally, it was time. I printed the bill, looked at the total, smiled. The walk to their table felt like a victory lap. Here you are. I set the leather folder down gently. Whenever you're ready. Mom snatched it open. Her eyes scanned the numbers, then widened. This is ridiculous, her voice cracked. $347? That's 2 entrees, 2 champagnes, and desserts for 6 tables. I kept my expression neutral. Mother's Day menu isn't cheap. I didn't agree to pay for all those desserts. Actually, ma'am. Mr. Davidson appeared beside me, right on cue. You did, in front of multiple witnesses. He smiled pleasantly. Also, I should mention, parties with bills over $200 automatically receive a 20% service charge. That's our policy. He pointed to the small print at the bottom of the menu still lying on their table. Posted at the entrance and printed right there. Page 2, bottom left. Mom's face went gray. That adds almost $70. $69.40 to be precise. Your new total is $416.40. Kelsey grabbed Mom's arm. Mom, just pay so we can leave. Fine. Mom yanked her wallet from her Gucci bag, pulled out a credit card, shoved it at me. Just charge it. I took the card. My fingers were perfectly steady. I'll be right back. The POS machine beeped twice. I ran the card again. Same result. I walked back to the table slowly, savoring every step. I'm sorry, ma'am. My voice carried just enough. Your card has been declined. Mom's face flushed crimson. That's impossible. Run it again. I ran it twice. Then there's something wrong with your machine. Our machine is working perfectly. Mr. Davidson stepped forward. Perhaps there's an issue with your bank. Kelsey leaned toward Mom, hissing. Mom, I told you not to max out that card on the Nordstrom sale. Shut up, Kelsey. The restaurant had gone quiet again. The good kind of quiet. The kind where everyone pretends they're not listening while absorbing every word. Mr. Patterson's voice drifted over. Is everything all right over there? Mom's smile was pure plastic. Just a technical issue. She fumbled through her wallet, pulled out another card, then another. Her hands were shaking. Try this one. I didn't move. Mr. Davidson cleared his throat. Unfortunately, ma'am, given the circumstances today, he paused, straightened his vest. And given the way you've treated my employee, Mom's face went pale. I'm afraid we'll need to implement a different payment method. What do you mean? Her voice was barely a whisper. Mr. Davidson looked her dead in the eyes. Cash only. For you. 4 words, perfectly delivered. The section erupted. Not in applause, in barely suppressed reactions, gasps, nervous laughter. One woman literally said, "Oh my God," out loud. Mom looked around wildly, at the watching faces, at her smirking daughter, at me, her empire of lies crumbling in real time. This is discrimination. Mr. Davidson didn't flinch. No, ma'am, he smiled. This is consequences. Cash only for you. Can we just appreciate Mr. Davidson for a moment? Comment boss if you think more managers should stand up for their employees like this. I was standing there watching it all unfold, and trust me, even I didn't see what happened next coming. We're almost at the end, and it's worth sticking around for. Let's get back to the chaos. While Mom scrambled through her wallet, something strange happened. Kelsey's phone started blowing up. Notifications flooded her screen, buzzing, pinging, vibrating so hard it nearly fell off the table. She grabbed it, looked at the screen, and went absolutely white. Oh no! Her voice was barely a whisper. Oh no, 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 no! Mom looked up from her wallet. What now? Mom! Kelsey's hands were shaking. I was live, the whole time. I thought I turned it off after the first minute, but you thought what? I didn't know. The button was, and then we were talking and Kelsey's voice pitched toward hysteria. Mom, there are 30,000 people watching right now. The table beside us, a middle-aged woman who'd been quietly eating her eggs, suddenly looked at her own phone. Oh my God! She held it up to her husband. Linda just sent me this. It's happening right here. Another phone emerged, then another. Within seconds, half my section was checking social media. Rebecca appeared at my elbow, grinning wider than I'd ever seen. Girl, you're trending. What? She showed me her screen. The video had been clipped and reposted already. 30,000 views and climbing. The captions were brutal. Rich mom humiliates waitress daughter, finds out she's more successful than golden child. Karen gets destroyed at brunch. The audacity of showing up to embarrass her and then her card declines. Comments flooded in. Queen behavior. That manager deserves a raise. Kelsey's face when she found out about Whitmore, I can't. Kelsey stared at her phone in horror. My followers. They're calling me a bully. They're unfollowing me. Mom's wallet hung forgotten in her hands. The whole restaurant was watching them now, and there was nowhere left to hide. Mom did something I'd never seen before. She stepped away from the table, phone pressed to her ear. But in a quiet restaurant, desperate whispers carry. Patricia? It's Diane. I need a favor. Can you transfer some money to my account? Just temporarily. Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister, her closest confidant. The woman who'd spent years hearing Mom's version of every story. I watched Mom's face crumble in real time. What do you mean you saw the video? Her voice pitched higher. Several people nearby exchanged glances. Patricia, that's not what happened. She's twisting everything. You know how Morgan is. Whatever Aunt Patricia said made Mom flinch like she'd been slapped. Patricia? Patricia! She lowered the phone. The call had ended. Even her own sister had hung up on her. For a moment she just stood there, shoulders hunched, clutching her Gucci bag like a security blanket. Then she turned to me. And I finally saw it. The thing I'd never understood. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at my father. At his eyes in my face, at his stubbornness in my spine, at the ghost of the man who'd abandoned her, staring back at her every single day for 10 years. She'd never hated me. She'd hated him, and I was the closest thing she could punish. It didn't make it right. It didn't make it okay. But standing there, watching her empire of lies crumble, I finally understood. Morgan, her voice cracked. Please, I'm your mother. I looked at her. Really looked. This broken woman who'd spent a decade punishing her own child for someone else's sins. You've been telling everyone I'm an embarrassment. My voice was steady. You told them I didn't go to college. You came here, on Mother's Day, to mock me in front of strangers. I took a breath. And now you want me to help you? Silence stretched between us. I reached into my apron, pulled out my tip envelope. 4 years of savings I'd kept meaning to deposit. I'll pay your bill. Mom's eyes widened with hope. But this is the last thing I ever do for you. Her face crumbled. This isn't forgiveness, Mom. This is goodbye. They left without saying goodbye. Mom walked out with her head down, Gucci bag clutched to her chest like armor. Kelsey trailed behind, phone dark, mascara smeared. They didn't look back. The restaurant exhaled. Mr. Patterson stood and shook my hand. Young lady, you handled that with more grace than anyone I've ever seen. Your future employer is lucky to have you. The single mom at table 10 hugged me, actually hugged me. My daughter is watching, she whispered. You just taught her something important. The tips that day were the highest I'd ever received. Not charity, respect. Over the next 48 hours, the video exploded. 2 million views, countless shares, featured on 3 different justice-served Instagram pages. Kelsey lost 40% of her followers in 1 week. She had to turn off comments, then go private, then disappear entirely from social media. Her influencer career was finished. The family group chat, the one I'd been silently watching for years, erupted. Aunt Patricia, Mom's own sister, texted me directly. I saw everything. I had no idea, Morgan. I'm so sorry for believing her all these years. Even Uncle Richard, Dad's brother, who'd disappeared along with him, reached out. Saw the video. Your father would be proud of who you've become. I'm sorry I wasn't there. Cousins I hadn't heard from in years sent messages. Family members who'd believed Mom's lies for a decade suddenly wanted to reconnect. The narrative had shifted. I wasn't the dropout anymore. I was the one who'd succeeded despite everything. Mom never called, never texted, never apologized. I didn't wait for it. The following Monday, I walked into Whitmore and Associates wearing a new blazer I'd bought with my last tips. My desk had a nameplate, Morgan Townsend, financial analyst. I sat down, looked out the window at the city below. My phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Davidson. Proud of you, kid. You made us all proud. I smiled. For the first time in 4 years, I could breathe. 3 months later, I got my first promotion. The youngest analyst in my department to lead a client project. My boss said I had unusual grit. I didn't tell her where I'd learned it. Life looked different now. My apartment had actual furniture, not just a mattress on the floor. I had a coffee maker that didn't leak, a closet with clothes that weren't uniforms. Small things, but they mattered. Kelsey called once, a month after Mother's Day. She paused. I wanted to say I'm sorry about what happened. I listened to her breathe. I appreciate you calling, I said finally, but I'm not ready to rebuild anything yet. She cried a little, said she understood. I didn't know if she actually did. Mom remained silent. No calls, no texts, no birthday card when August came around. I used to think that silence would hurt. It didn't. When Mother's Day came again the following year, I didn't work. For the first time in 5 years, I had the day off. I bought flowers. Yellow tulips, my favorite, not hers. I put them in a vase on my kitchen table, sat down with a cup of coffee, looked at them. The flowers weren't for anyone. They were for me. For the girl who worked double shifts and studied until 3 a.m., for the woman who survived 4 years of being invisible. For every version of myself who'd kept going when giving up would have been easier. I didn't need my mother's approval anymore. I didn't need anyone to tell me I was enough. I already knew. The tulips glowed in the morning light. My apartment was quiet, peaceful. Outside, the city hummed with life, and I was finally, completely free. If you're still watching, if you've made it this far, I want to tell you something. Maybe you see yourself in my story. Maybe you're the forgotten one, the one who had to fight for everything while someone else got it handed to them, the one who learned early that love, in your family, came with conditions. I want you to know, it's not your job to earn love from people who decided long ago not to give it. I spent years trying to prove myself to my mother, straight A's, research papers, a prestigious job offer, and none of it made a difference, because she'd made up her mind about me when I was 14 years old. Some people will never see you clearly. That's not your failure. That's theirs. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. It isn't selfish. Staying silent while being mistreated, that's what's cruel. To yourself. My mother might never understand what she did. Kelsey might never truly grow up. But that's not my responsibility anymore. What's mine is my peace, my career, my future. And no one, not family, not blood, not guilt, gets to take that from me again. So if you're still waiting for permission to walk away from people who hurt you, consider this your permission. You don't owe anyone your suffering, not even your mother. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming so at peace that their opinions don't matter anymore. I'm not angry at my mom. I'm not bitter about the 4 years I spent fighting alone. Those years made me who I am, and who I am is pretty damn great. Happy Mother's Day. Not to the mothers who tear their children down, to the ones who build themselves up anyway. You've got this, I promise. Before I go, here's what this taught me. 1. Your worth isn't determined by how your family treats you. Their blindness is their loss, not yours. 2. Success built on your own terms, through your own sweat and sacrifice, is the only kind that truly matters. 3. The best response to doubt isn't anger. It's becoming so at peace that their opinions simply don't reach you anymore. If Morgan's story touched you, drop a comment sharing one boundary you've set or need to set in your own life. It might help someone else watching. Want more stories like this? There's one in the description that hit even harder for me. Check it out. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next story. Stay strong. You've got this.